Well, Tigers talk for another week. Bye last weekend, but the week before, a very, very good win against the Premiers for the Hostplus Cup side, Gav.
Yeah, no, it was a really good win, and they're starting to hit a little bit of form. I still don't think that they're at their peak at the moment, but you can only be as good enough to win games, and that's what they're doing at the moment.
Cutters this weekend, they're at the bottom of the table. I don't think they've won a game here, but they're always tough at home, aren't they, McCoy?
Danger game, those ones, mate. You only got to be off for 5% across the field, and you're in trouble immediately. So, Churchy wants to keep them right on the ball.
Yeah, they will be desperate in the Mackay Cutters. Colts undefeated so far, going great guns. A big win last week against, or 2 weeks ago against North as well.
They won the bye as well, apparently.
Yeah. How about that? Clito's a genius.
He is. They are. They're going really well. You can do no more than win all the games that you've played so far. And then they had the week off last week, so both teams will be well refreshed for Mackay up there this week.
All right. We talk about the players all the time, but you caught up with a player or somebody in the background, played a lot of footy, been involved in rugby league for 1,000 years, got more medals, as you said, than a Russian general.
Yeah.
Tell us about your special guest.
Yeah, no, Kenny Ra. So he's been around the traps a bit. Started obviously over at the Magpies at South, and then a long time at the Broncos under Wayne Bennett and so forth, and into the Queensland Origin sides with Wayne as well. And now the Tigers are lucky enough to have him over here. So interesting conversation with Ken.
All right, well, here's a chat with the great man.
Welcome back to Tigers Talk. I'm here with trainer of the Hastings Deerings Colts, Ken Ra. Thanks very much for joining us, Ken. You've been around the Rugby League traps for quite some years. Mate, welcome to the show firstly.
Thank you.
The second question I've got for you is just tell us a little bit about how you kicked off, where you started and your journey through Rugby League to being here at the Tigers.
Well, I started off with Souths back in 1977. At that stage I was studying massage and naturopathy and chiropractic and doing a bit, and I got offered a job down there just to go down and help out a little bit. Yeah. And went down and sort of it took over and I got stuck there. And I was there from right up until 87 when, and then 88 I went to the Broncos.
Yeah, and that you had that association obviously with Wayne Bennett, who finished up being the inaugural Broncos coach. So that was a good relationship, and that continued for some time.
Yeah, I carried him all the way through, really. I started off, I first met Wayne when I went to the police academy in 1973, when I joined the police. And I sort of didn't do a lot. I didn't play a lot of league when I was younger. I had a few injuries and so forth. And I went out to Taroom in 74, 75, and I played a little bit out there. Yep. And came back to Brisbane, and I wasn't doing much of anything really. And a mate of mine who was playing over at Souths at the time said, "Oh, we need a strapper and someone to do a bit of massage over at Souths." So I thought, "Oh yeah, why not? Yep. I'll go over there." So I went over and I started, and then Wayne came along. And as Wayne progressed up through the representative coaching, we did the Brisbane under-18s and the Queensland under-18s and State of Origin. And as he moved up, I moved up with him. Yep. So it was a good experience. Got a State of Origin series win, which was absolutely magnificent. And as a result of that one in 87, we got a trip to America. We played at Long Beach in California and had a couple of days in Las Vegas and got to fly up through the Grand Canyon and all sorts of fun things.
Was that a junket, mate?
For us it was, because we'd already run the series. The New South Wales team took it fairly seriously, and they were looking at, their opinion was that they evened the series up as a result. But it was a good trip.
And they still think that to this day, Ken, I think.
Oh, they do, but we know the truth.
Indeed. So with the Broncos right through for what, 30 odd years or so? 32
and a half years. I worked with them right through until when COVID hit in 2020, and my mum and dad were both still alive then, and they were in aged care, so I couldn't go into their lockdown situation because of that. So I took a redundancy and had the rest of 2020 off, and it was magnificent having nothing to do and not having to get up and go to football or go to training or do anything like that.
You were obviously well retired from your occupation at this stage?
Yeah, I retired from the police in 2014. Yep. It was a forced retirement. I reached the age limit and they said, "You're out of here," and I said, "Okay, fine." And then 2021 came along, and someone down here found out I wasn't doing anything, so I got asked if I was interested in coming down and helping out with the Colts, and I thought, I'll come down and have a look. And my son Luke and myself came down. He's a masseur with the team.
Yep.
And we came down and wandered in, and they started throwing us training gear. And I said, well, hang on, I haven't made a decision yet. And they said, no, you'll be right, you'll be right.
I think you had, mate. You walked into the dressing room, through the fence and into the dressing room. So that's a decision.
I think once you cross the line, that's it.
Yeah, no, and once a Tiger, always a Tiger too, mate. Obviously been with South, been with the Broncos, and now at the Tigers as well, helping out with the Colts. A long career in Rugby League, but also in your policing days, you had a long career there also. So you're obviously a sticker. And picked up an award along the way, a very award that was highly valuable to you.
In the police?
In the police, yeah.
Yeah, I worked up in Bali for about 4 months after the Bali bombings, and I received, as a result of that, I got a Order of Australia medal. And then a couple of years later, a year or so later, when the tsunami hit Thailand, I got deployed up there. I went up there twice, and as a result of that, I ended up with an Overseas Humanitarian Medal. And then before I retired, I was given the Australian Police Medal, which is the highest award you can get in policing in Australia. So I ended up with more medals than most Russian generals. It sticks out past my shoulder.
I wasn't aware of the latter two, but I was aware of the Order of Australia medal, mate. And dealing with the Colts, different age group to what you're normally dealing with. So how have you found them the last couple of years? In
a lot of respects, it's different, but it really reminds me of the old days when the Broncos first kicked off, because I roll up to training now or to a game, and the young guys come up and they shake your hand, they say, good to see you. And when they want something done, could you strap my ankles, please? Thank you, I appreciate that. And the manners, the kids, is just absolutely unbelievable. They're really great bunch of kids to work with. The age really doesn't make any difference, because in my head I'm probably still only 20 anyway. So it reminds me a lot of the Broncos in the old days, when the guys had to work for a living and then train at night. Yeah. And they were a totally different group back then. I think the attitude of league players back then was totally different. They all played the game because they loved the game. Yeah. And that's what I'm finding with the Colts. They really love the game and they love the club. So it's like stepping back in time, 35 years really. Yep. So I really enjoy it.
Ken, thanks for joining us. You're a league tragic. We love having you here at the Tigers. Thanks for sharing your story with us problem. And so forth. And
one thing I must say though was my wife was always an East supporter, and she was horrified when I went to Souths and spent 11 years at Souths, and now I'm back in the good books again because. I'm at East.
She's a forgiving woman then. Yeah. Good on you, mate. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Thank you.
Mate, you get the greats, don't you, mate? You get bloody favouritism. You always seem to get the great people. But I've got one.
Who'd you get?
Well, it's not great, yeah. Mitch Edwards. You know him very well. We talk about the Storm. They feed in the Brisbane Tigers, and the Brisbane Tigers drop down to Carina and Bulimba Bulldogs. So these guys feed up into the Hostplus Cup squad. And we spoke to Mitch Edwards, his first year at BRL, a friend of yours, and he's really enjoying the coaching side of things. And he's actually offered you an opportunity to coach next year, Mrs. Payne. So say goodbye to this guy. But no, here's Mitch. Here's what's happening at BRL level. Welcome back to Tigers Talk. The NRL, the Storm feed down to the Brisbane Tigers, and the Brisbane Tigers feed down to the Bulimba Bulldogs and the Carina Tigers. With me is their coach of the Bulimba Bulldogs, Mitch Edwards, in his first year as the BRL head coach, mate. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, John.
How have you enjoyed the coaching setup as head coach? You've taken over from probably the most beautiful man in rugby league, Michael Lambert. But apart from that, how have you stepped up to his shoes, mate?
Tough shoes to fill with Lambo. He's people probably don't understand how hard Lambo worked to get the Bulimba Bulldogs going in that competition. So 3 really hard years for Michael and the guys there. And I feel like it was sort of not really a choice. It's something I had to do when Michael decided to step away to keep the momentum going, keep the guys together. So I've enjoyed it. I mean, I've learnt more about myself than football, to be honest.
So you brought the Mitch Edwards style of coaching. You can't come in and try and replicate what other people do, otherwise you're going to fall on your sword. So how have you changed that around, and are you happy with what you've done so far?
Well, yeah, you got to try and keep a couple of things, and you got to try and have your own influence on the squad. So I kept a lot of the things that refer to our standards and our expectations as a club, and how new players and current players coexist in that arrangement. And then with my own style, I think the guys would tell you I'm a bit more intense than Lambo maybe. So.
Wow, that's pretty intense. Anyway, so we talked about the Storm. They feed down to the Brisbane Tigers, and the Brisbane Tigers feed down to you. So as a pathway coach, it's very hard for you to actually coach a side. One, they're not training 3 or 4 times a week. They're only twice a week, and sometimes you don't get them until even game days. Yes. So it is a nightmare. Your job is harder than an NRL coach, I reckon.
It's hard. It's hard in a footy sense.
Yep.
It's managing a lot of different expectations. So obviously Matt gets his allocations from the Storm, and then Matt's been really good with me. He's very consistent.
Church, head coach,
Matt Church is really consistent with me. He will give me my allocations. Usually, I'm hoping I should have a text now actually on a Wednesday night. Or it's a Thursday morning, depending on if there's anything going wrong, and then I can pick my team off the back of that. I train my guys Tuesdays and Thursdays. I try not to, at that level, it's kind of a buy-in thing. It's hard to ask young men to give their Friday nights up over and over. So consistently, I do the Thursday night captain's run, and Matt and Issa are really good to release their guys to me on a Thursday night.
But there lies the problem, because basically, Friday nights, these people have got work. They work from probably, chippies or tradies, and they start at 7 in the morning, they're 5 o'clock, and then you got them come here, and same with the cup sort of things. And then you got Colts players as well. You got girls' cars, and
little hairdressers' focuses.
Exactly right, and they got their Gavin Payne, idol, posters on the wall. Hey, Gav. It's a hard thing for you to actually try and juggle, and then try and produce and get 3 points on Saturday.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it is. It's a hard job in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the first thing is, like, before you start talking about performance, you have to create a happy environment. So my guys need to be happy, as in I have a squad of about 40, and then they'll receive the players from East. So I don't need to be hounding Matt or the East staff much. I try and stay out of their way, so that all I need to go and do is create a happy environment where his players come down and can enjoy playing football. And then Michael was really good at setting the standard, and I think I've probably continued on with that about East guys come down and really putting it on them that they're taking one of our guys' spots too. So as upset as they are, you've got to manage the fact that they do want to play Queensland Cup football. So this is the next best thing, but also be respectful of the fact that there's guys that train and give up their time that they're taking a spot from. So, there's a lot of juggling of egos and man management.
Yeah, if you're coaching a junior, you want him to be better at the end of the year as when he started. And for you guys, I suppose the ultimate reward is actually producing players that can actually play host cup level.
Absolutely.
The more players you can play at that level, it's obviously a credit to yourself and the club and the team.
Yeah, so we've taken a really big shot in the arm in confidence. Every year we've managed to get someone from our train and trials to come up to the system. So the first year, I can't remember who it was, but Ollie Pascoe was one who we brought up, well, Michael brought up from the mid-New South Wales, and then he obviously trained and trialled, and then he got brought up into training full-time but not a contract. And now he's moved on to Wynnum, but he's got a bright future. We had Lachlan Lansky last year, and this year I brought Riley Leota across in a train and trial, and he's been contracted full time. So, and outside of that, there's a young kid called Will Hobbs who we got in our 20s.
Made a big break last weekend.
I've kind of exposed him a bit too early.
Yeah.
Will came to us in the under 20s. He was as probably an 18-year-old in 2021, and he recently got picked up by the Colts squad here. So that's what it's all about, helping these kids go the other way as well. So.
All right, fantastic. At the moment, good win last weekend. Obviously, you came from behind to beat Beenleigh. A win the week before, so 2 on the trot. You're starting to build back into the 5 and stay there. But it's a long it's a long season, isn't it? And because you have those changes in and out, I don't know how you do it. I mean, like I said at the start of the season, he still looks like that's at the start of the season, but I have my worries that he's dyeing his hair, so we'll see how we go. But well, congratulations. You don't get that job because of your good looks, or you probably could, but in this instance, you've done a great job. I think the Bulimba Bulldogs will be a real threat. They'll be in the top 5 for sure, playing semi-final football, and we look to see some of your players playing for the Brisbane Tigers in the not-too-distant future, and Matty Church, just look out.
I don't think so.
All right. Come on, Gav. Get the clipboard out. Have another crack. See how you go.
No, been there, done that. That's a young man's game.
Yeah, it is. And this is the pathway stuff. So it's a really hard gig for Mitch Edwards, obviously for Spraggy over there at Carina as well, as it is for all 10 clubs that they got to feed up there. So you know what it's like. Trying to get players ready when they're going to train together.
You got to start somewhere, and you start in the lower grades usually when you're starting your coaching career. That's where these gentlemen have started as well. And you don't know who you got coming back, especially these days with the feeder clubs and dropping players back from Melbourne to the Tigers and then down to the sub-districts clubs as well. So it is a tough gig, and you really earn your cash down there. You never know who you're going to be running out with.
Yeah, well, and as you all know, Brisbane Tigers obviously trying to get that 18th NRL licence. So there's plenty of talent out there, and there's stuff like the BRL and obviously the Colts and all that sort of stuff that actually feed up there. There's plenty of players around and some quality people out there as well. So, Gav, listen, you're not here next week.
No, mate, I've got to go and visit a hometown up in Townsville for a few days. So,
Aaron needs some help, doesn't he?
I haven't spoken to him yet, mate, but the Black Hawks aren't travelling that well.
That's what I'm going to say. I think we're going to see the Gavin green and black shirt day in the next couple of weeks. There you go. But enjoy your trip, mate. Had a great time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Tigers Talk, get out there. Check out what's happening with Mackay Cutters this weekend on the Q Plus, and see what happens with the Tigers, and see if they can't get another 2 points. See you next week.